Sheffield United, not going so well for them now, Lee. Bottom of the table with 13 points, a goal difference of minus 43. It's the 6th time in all competitions they've conceded 5 goals or more. All right, they've conceded at home 5 goals in the last 3 games in all competitions as well. We talked about how Burnley, are they just building for the Championship next season? Is that now the same for Sheffield United because they've got the same amount of points?
Yeah, I think so, Tom. I think, you know, they haven't had the money to invest, haven't had the money to go and bring in players that can try and keep them in the league.
But when they got promoted, they lost 2 of their best players.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, you know, you're looking at that model and... Listen, we've touched on the divide from Championship to Premier League. It's massive. Unless you've got money to throw at it, and we know what's going on with the financial fair play. Clubs are scared about it. The fact that Sheffield United are sitting bottom of the league, I think, really and truly, are they going to get out of it? I think everyone's said the same all season. The 3 that have sort of gone up potentially will go back down. You know, you have to say Luton have been the team that have got a little bit away from it, but that's down to Everton's point deduction. You know, you have to start planning for the future, and that's what Sheffield United will have to do. You can't... Listen, that Bramall Lane's... I always would say it's a fortress for them, and that's where they haven't won enough games. They're conceding goals. You've seen the ground; it was pretty much empty towards the end because, you know, they want to see exciting football that they've seen over seasons, and unfortunately, the Premier League's it's hit them too hard. And same with Burnley, they just haven't been able to cope. We're coming up against more superior clubs who are more advanced. And that's why they're sitting where they are in the league. So it's about planning for next season in the Championship, I feel.
Let's talk more about the goals conceded that they've had, Sheffield United, because it is the most in a Premier League season after 25 games. Look at that, 65. You know, Barnsley all the way back then. Remember that, the season they had in the Premier League, 61 at this stage. Leeds 56 a couple of seasons ago, and Blackburn again all the way back in 2012 with 56. They still had, you know, 9 fewer than Sheffield United now. I mean, Clinton, I know you were a striker, but still, when you're conceding that many, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, listen, I was a striker, but you got the defending starts from the front. You defend as a team. Throughout the team, they haven't been good enough defensively. When Paul Heckingbottom was in there, they were conceding too many goals. Chris Wilder came in for a bit, and defensively, you thought they were a bit stronger. And now they're conceding again loads of goals against Aston Villa, again this afternoon. So it's a problem. It's a problem. And obviously, he wanted to bring in an experienced centre-half. He couldn't, so he brought in Mason Holgate, he's still quite young, so he's not as experienced. I know he's been on loan. Southampton didn't really play. And then he goes down to 10 men, and now he's going to probably miss 3 games, or maybe 2 games. He'll miss 2 games, and that's a huge blow. It will be 3 because it was violent, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he'll miss 3 games, and that's going to be a huge blow to miss him. So they are struggling. They are short at the back. And we saw a few of their injured players. They're missing the likes of John Egan. And obviously Basham, who's a bit older, had picked up that bad injury. So they have struggled with injuries this season, and that's been a big problem for them.
I think you can say, like, you concede all them goals, but, you know, you can have an argument if you're scoring goals and you're asking questions going the other way, but they haven't. 22 goals they've scored this season. So you put the 2 together, there's no surprise where Sheffield United are end up going. That's no disrespect to the football club, but they just can't compete, and budget-wise, they can't manage to sustain it in the Premier League, and that's the unfortunate thing because it's a great football club.
And they actually, by the way, in terms of defence in the Championship last season, they actually had the 2nd best defence in the Championship, but now that has not...
that's players being missing, that's why. The likes of Egan's are very important for them. Yeah.
And there's been the change in manager as well in that time from Heckingbottom now to Chris Wilder. So Brighton in 7th place now, Sheffield United in 20th. So we've just said, you know, it does appear that it looks like they are doomed for the Championship, but 7 points in it, Luton with those 2 games in hand. Crystal Palace have got 1 game in hand on them as well. In fact, let's have a look at the next 6 and see where they can pick up points. Wolves away. Wolves we've been praising them about how good they've been. Arsenal in a title race. Bournemouth away, who have been going well as well. Manchester United away, so 3 of the next 4 are away. Fulham at home and Liverpool away. So if you're talking about where are they going to make up those points, it's quite hard to see.
It is. Listen, I think deep down every Sheffield United fan will know it's going to be a struggle. They'll keep believing, they'll still turn up in their numbers because they're a well-supported football club. But you look at the run of games they got, it's so difficult to see where you're going to get points from. And yeah, we can always look and say it's different when you turn up, but they're not in good form at the moment, Sheffield United. They're conceding a lot of goals. Where some of these teams they're playing at the moment are scoring a lot of goals. So it's going to be really difficult for Sheffield United. And as I said, I think them getting up to the Premier League last season was a great achievement for where the club is. It was in a bit of a sticky situation, and I think they now have to rebuild and start again maybe for next season, even though they won't give up until it's mathematically impossible, but it's a hard job.
It's hard for Chris as well.
Yeah, of course
he's gone in there and tried to re-galvanise the football club. He knows what it's all about. He's been there. He's got the T-shirts, and the thing is, like, you're looking at games like that, and you know, from a fan's perspective, you go, well, why don't we just go and attack sides? Why don't we just go and play football? And it's not always the case, because it's at times you can see how damaging it can be. They've conceded 5 goals in the last 3 games at home. You know, you start going to the likes of Man United, you're going to get punished massively. Yeah. So it's hard for Chris to go, well, you know, let's just go and attack teams, because on the other side of the coin, they're conceding that many goals. You don't know what can possibly happen.
And you know what? Recruitment's a big thing. So if you look at it, they lose Sanderberg and Iliman Ndiaye. Yeah. They were their 2 best players in the Championship. So you lose them, and then have you got the money to go and recruit? No. But then if you look at someone like Luton, who probably don't have a lot of money as well, they bring in the likes of Barkley and Townsend, experienced Premier League players that know the division. So I always say recruitment is a big thing.
Yeah, and I mean, just thinking on Sheffield United, how demoralising is it? How hard is it for them to get motivated when there is such a big gap? It's not like being in a relegation battle, you can get up for that because a win might get you out the relegation zone or bring you closer. When there is that much of a gap, how demoralising is it? It is
demoralising, but you got to realise you're a professional footballer. You're playing that shirt that you wear, that badge. You're playing for that football club. You represent yourself, your family, and that club. So every time you cross that white line, Tom, you've got to give 100%. And listen, there'll be players that will be playing for maybe to try and get moves next season to someone in the Premier League if they can impress. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but every time you cross that white line, you're representing Sheffield United. You've got to give it. You can't think in the back of your head it's demoralising. You've got to go into training the next day with a smile on your face, make it joyous around the training ground, and keep believing that you can achieve something. Even though everyone knows deep down you might think we are going to struggle to stay up, but you can't give up and throw in the towel like that, because everyone could do that in life.
Yeah, it's having the belief in the change and having big characters in the change room that make some of them younger players believe that they can actually. Because let's face it, if they did go and get a couple of results, all of a sudden, like I said today, I felt was a big game for them to go and get 3 points. I felt that Brighton haven't been in great form. You just felt them being at home was a great opportunity to possibly go and push Brighton and start getting a little bit of a platform to go and build off in these latter stages of the season. But like I say, when you go down to 10 men that early, it really is. It's an uphill battle for Sheffield United, and it has been all season. So where do you start? You just have to start planning for the future.